And then what we're going to do is... That's right. After a long hiatus, we are back, everyone. It's a boy, Carlos. Welcome to Midway Radio. Midway Radio, it's a lot like the Los Angeles Dodgers. But instead of millions of dollars spent on choking in October, we have DJs. DJs like DJ Sean Doe.
What's up, everybody? We're back.
Wow.
DJs like DJ Risky Business.
Wow. Well, I can't stand the Dodgers, so I approve that message.
It's a good thing we can't hear you. We got you that really nice mic. Attaboy. Quality control manager or or director extraordinaire, we got Ryan Brockmeyer.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome, everyone. How's it going?
Great. It was a long week. A long week last week and a long weekend, and it's been a long hiatus for us, but we're coming back.
That's right.
And here we are.
I was gone for so long, I thought I got deported.
Okay. Do we want to touch on that at all? Where Carlos was?
Where in the world is Carlos San Diego? San Diego, ironically, is not one of the places I went. I went to, where did I go? Vermont, Boston, New Hampshire. Then I went to the countryside of London, or England, and then I went to London, and then I went to Salzburg, Vienna, and then I went to Salzburg, Austria. Then I went to Vienna, Austria. Then I went to Stuttgart to visit my baby girl, Hala. And then I went to Munich, which one of these days when we have the time and the money, you guys, I would love for all of us to be in Munich. Munich is
In October.
dope. Yeah, in October, it don't even matter. October is just next level.
How was the steak in Salzburg?
I was gonna ask him how was the hot dogs
Wow.
in Vienna.
I think you guys are thinking Salisbury steak, but that's fine. that goes to show you these hungry man eating ass.
Where I was going. How was that Swanson Salisbury steak?
That Salzburg steak was pretty good. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a lot of artist al fresco videos because I have tons of footage. Tons. So I was giving Ryan a little sneak peek at some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I'm not going to lie. I think he got a little tingly.
I did. I felt a little sensation down below.
That's nasty. Oh,
It was good though. We've got an amazing, talented team right here, and extended those who don't get on the podcast behind us. But
That's true. We are a small, mighty bunch, if you will. Speaking of small and mighty, you guys had a Mic One event last night.
Yeah, we had our second annual Rock the Mic Foundation, which is a benefit to raise funds and bring awareness for mental health. All the proceeds go to Hope for the Day, and yeah, we raised. Actually, I just got numbers in, and it looks like we did over the weekend. Hold on a second. We did a little over 6,000. So between the last 3 years, we've done just under 50,000 raised. We did a little over 48,000 last 3 years.
And what's the foundation do?
Hope for the Day.
Yeah.
So hope for the day. Actually, we just switched over, and we were doing NAMI, and Gil runs the organization, or the what we're doing, and he just switched over to Hope for the Day. I don't have exactly all the details what Hope for the Day is exactly doing.
Shout
For
out to
people,
Gil.
for people who are not from Chicago and don't know who Mike One is, who's Mike One? See you, Risky.
What's that?
For people who don't know who Mike One is, that's watching this podcast, who's Mike One to you? Like,
Mike One is a dear friend of mine, and all of us. He was an MC from the North Side, from Portage Park, who had been around Chicago since the '90s. He was one of the most supportive people involved in the scene, because he would come and support everybody locally. And I DJ'd for him. Sean got to DJ for him as well. People like BVAX, Trilogy, a lot of people worked with Mike. And yeah, Mike was one of Chicago's most beloved
True originals.
original hip hop kid. And yeah, and fortunately he passed a few years from lost his battle with depression. So we started our Rock the Mic Foundation.
it's pretty awesome. I had
And I wish I knew I had more. I don't have the exact details on Hope for the Day, other than they're it's a organization that raises awareness for mental health, and we just switched to them. So I don't have all. I don't want to. I want to have the exact details. We literally we just made the switch over, so I didn't have the details. Gil handled all that.
But at the end of the day, it's their main objective is to bring awareness to mental health.
Yeah.
So if you have anyone, which all of us do, even if we don't know we do, we know either we do or someone very close to us does know. So what's scary is they say that scientists know more about outer space than we know about our own brains. So it's not, especially with, technology moving as fast as we are now, the more connected we are, the more disconnected we are. It's not a surprise that we have people that are struggling with this type of stuff.
I put the link up here for the
hftd.org.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat room.
And their motto is it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
I can't stress enough how important it is to check on your friends and your family. Like sometimes I just send
even the strong ones.
Says, well, those are the ones. Like the ones I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and it's hard. Like I was just thinking about how Robin Williams was just so like big in our life, and I forget that he's gone, and I also forget that he committed suicide. So
he did, but that wasn't necessarily a depression thing. He actually had a neurological disease,
Sure.
And it was almost, from what I was reading, and I was actually kind of looking on it not too long ago, but it was almost like a bipolar type of thing, where it's like you're in kind of the right mind the one time, and then you're not the next.
Yeah.
So it was a suicide, but it wasn't necessarily a depression type of like a typical depression.
But it was still connected to mental health.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Right.
Yeah, and did you finish, Sean?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All I was going to say is, in a previous life, I was a mental health technician at Swedish Covenant Hospital, Northside Holla, but some of my patients had things like depression and bipolar and all that stuff. And it might not make a lot of sense, but when someone is bipolar, they can wake up one day depressed and they don't want to get out of bed, and the very next day, and this happened. This was one of my patients was admitted by her husband because she woke up and bought 8 Cadillacs.
Wow.
Yeah.
She had that much money?
That's what I said. I mean, you can do a lot. You could do a lot before the check clears. You know what I mean? I've played that game plenty of times.
Yeah, like just checking up on your friends, even the ones that are that seem well, and that's why I brought up Robin Williams, because Robin Williams made everybody happy,
right?
And if we look at Mike, for those who didn't know that he was suffering from depression, Mike made everybody happy. Welcome. You know what I mean? And he would, like, for some people, he would be the last person on earth to want to do something like that to himself, So there was a point in our show yesterday. Who was the guy who first went on Risky yesterday?
Oh, Jesse.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay, so explain him.
Well, Jesse is a producer who worked with Mike, who worked on a lot of Mike records. And
that's who we hired to. He co-produced.
Yeah.
The Welcome to Chicago EP.
Yeah, and Jesse goes by now. He goes by the artist name of Boy Called Death, and he remixed all the records that he worked and a couple other records live with Mike's original vocals, and he did it all live on stage, which was pretty amazing.
He did that yesterday?
Yeah.
Yo!
It was like at one point, because the sound guy was trying to get his sound right? But I was totally listening to it, and I had to leave and compose myself and come back, because it was like hearing Mike, I think the first song he did was Hold On, and it was really tough. Like after that was cool, but I think the first time he did, when he did that, it was a lot for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, Mike is definitely with us at all times, probably talking stupid shit, but
I will say in kind of, I don't know if we can pin it completely on him. Risky was his longtime DJ, and Sean filled in occasionally as well. I worked on the marketing, managing side, doing all of the photos and graphic design and music videos and stuff like that. I will say that it could be a coincidence, or it could be because of the little brother, that once that happened, it seemed like there seems to be more of an open dialogue within the hip-hop community, within the Chicago hip-hop community, of people being more open to talk about that. Because, like I said, it could be a coincidence, or it could be a direct result of him. But there's been a lot of people that came out that I wasn't aware of, were kind of suffering from some of the same stuff.
Joel Frieders,
so that is
and Joel was part of the group called the Cankles back in the day with Intel and a host of others, and he's heavy with Hope for the Day, and he's always been. I don't know exactly what he's been involved with in his situation, mental health wise, but I know he's always been hardcore talking about it and promoting, mental health awareness. And
yeah.
So the next performer was Paz.
Paz Lyrics performed after. Yeah, and Paz is I told Paz, and in my opinion, I think Paz is one of the most underrated rappers in Chicago. Period. Like performance wise, I mean, as far as a rapper, he has so much charisma, and he's like, he now is rapping with the band, and they just put this band together, and it's very obviously reminiscent of what me and Mike did, and I was really proud of him. He rocks so hard, and he's so dope lyrically, and he's got so much presence, and his voice is super dope, and he brought like this blues feel to his set, and it was so he's so Chicago, he's so dope.
Yeah, I was unfortunately I came late to the event yesterday, but I came in as he was starting his set and wasn't aware that that was a project that he's working on, and they were really really dope. So shout out to Paz, shout out to Al Tamper too. Al was in the chat room for a bit, so I was out there yesterday as well.
Holla.
Yeah, Tamp was there. I saw a lot of people. But all that being said, shout to Tamp and supporting, and he's always supported. And Mike loved fucking Tamp, man. And Paz and Mike loved fucking all those cats, all the fucking 7 Odds kids. He loved all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who came out and supported and bought and donated.
They can still, like, there were like hoodies and t-shirts and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's still stuff left over. People could still buy stuff. I think he posted it online. So, and we're gonna continue to do it every year, and you know, it's the very least we can do to support our very good other.
And while we're on that, one of the things that we want to accomplish with this show is not just exposing you guys to some folks that are in the hip-hop community of Chicago, but we also want you guys to be able to come to us and let us know what you have going on so we can talk about it on the show. Let people know we're part of your marketing budget.
Yes,
/free.
a free part of your marketing budget. But no, that's a good comment though, Carlos, because it's like we, Midway, the documentary, of course, is a historical piece, looking behind mostly, and Midway Radio is in the present and future of things that are happening with people. So
there.
So we did that this weekend, and we're going to do it again next year.
Sweet, I
Can
can't
we
wait.
talk a little bit about what we did a couple weeks ago?
So a couple of weeks ago, we had an event. So one of the things, the Midway project has taken a lot of twists and turns, and we've done some, we've done a lot of events to promote the project, and shout out to a lot of different people for making those happen, as far as like fundraisers goes, or just getting on a radio or getting in a platform to talk about the project and why it's significant and why we're doing it. We've talked to many different schools, and we've talked in a lot of different places, and but over the last year or so, we've kind of been working on some other things behind the scenes and not been so public facing. But one of the first public events that we've done in a while was at the Michigan Avenue Apple Store a couple weeks ago, which was really dope. So this is the second year every day. So this is the second year that they've done it. What they call the Music Industry Summit, specifically the Chicago Music Industry Summit. Although it is now expanding to, I believe, London and New York, I think, are the next two cities for it. But every September is Apple's chance to bring in folks to talk about various aspects of of music. So they have performers come in. Common kicked it off this year, and did a Q&A, and then did a little short performance. They've had people come in, do demos and talks and a bunch of different things, and they invited us in for a night to talk about Midway and talk about what we're doing and give it a little demonstration of kind of how we do some interviews. So it was cool. I mean, the Michigan Avenue Apple Store is the flagship Apple Store, obviously, of Chicago, but I guess probably in the Midwest as well. There's like the big glass cube in New York, and then there's the big glass MacBook here in Chicago. So it's one of their iconic locations. So it was cool to speak to that. We had a good crowd come out, and of course just the natural Apple traffic. I don't know, what'd you guys think? Risky and Doe spoke with me, so what'd you guys think of that experience?
I thought it was pretty dope. I was a little like taken aback by everything, like just kind of like, okay, we're talking in the Apple Store downtown. This is pretty fucking amazing. Okay.
It's not like in a high school somewhere with like paper taped to the window.
Everything was super professional. And I think my friends did awesome with addressing the crowd. It was I thought it was a pretty awesome event for us to be at.
I concur with everything you said. I think that the crowd interacted well. They had good questions for us. And then we also did a segment in which we explained how we interview, a little bit of the interview process, and how people can document their own lives. And we had kind of like a moment where Apple handed everybody MacBooks, or not MacBooks, but
when they handed out
they gave everybody iPads, and then they gave a few minutes for everybody to kind of like make their own little mini doc, and they interviewed the person next to them or their friend.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Shout out to J-Dot for having the funniest interview.
It's Apple. They wanted to showcase their amazing products, and so we came up with a few questions, kind of a few standard questions for everybody to think about and answer, and then we showed everybody how to film them on iPads using the Clips app, where you can do little segments and you can cut them down. I hadn't actually used it before. I've had it on my phone, but I've never actually used it really before that day. So it's cool. You can record yourself. They got little filters and stuff, and you can put it together, and so it was cool.
I have a question.
What's the name of the app again?
Clips.
What?
Clips.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I use Clips. I use Clips for some of the goofy Instagram stuff that I do, like making things disappear and pop up other places. Clips is dope. Sean and Ryan, I'm sorry if this question doesn't necessarily fit with you. I know I've seen you on stage before, but as DJs, Sean and Risky, do you guys find your exposure of being on stage and being kind of like all eyes on me, does that help you guys when you guys are doing presentations at the Apple Store?
Let me speak first, because
otherwise Risk is going to talk forever. No, I'm kidding.
So it's weird for me, because when I'm on stage, I'm comfortable with DJing, right?
Right.
And I'm comfortable with being behind the turntables, behind the music. But in actual speaking engagements, I shy a little away from that. I'm more of a one-on-one type person, or small, like maybe 2 or 3.
Right.
So when I get like going to the Apple Store almost frightened me a little bit, but I think every time I get in front of like a group of 40 or 50, or I get a little bit better every time we do it.
Yeah.
So Yeah, that's just me. But I've watched our team grow, and as far as talking in front of crowds, and I think at one point, like Ryan, like if I had to say, like, all right, where was Ryan when we first started versus where we are now? Like, Ryan when we first started was probably a little bit more like me, and Ryan knows how to control the mic a whole lot better. And Risky's always risky. So Risky, actually, I think his wedding, like him doing weddings, it comes out a little bit more now. So you can hear his wedding voice when he's talking.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But,
I just pretend I'm a strip club DJ.
You know what? Yes, I heard that yesterday when you were passing out the.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cinnamon to the main stage.
But yeah, I have a little. As a DJ, I think I find it more comfortable to be behind the tables,
right?
And I do more one-on-ones. Like, I'm able to talk to you about specific subjects, but in front of people, I kind of shy away from it. But sure. I'm getting better as we move forward with Midway.
Yeah, as far as for me, yeah, it's just knowing what I'm talking about and then just let me go.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's a really good point too.
Yeah,
Not feeling comfortable with the message that you're delivering.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about the project. Like, it's very important to me, so I love talking about it, and I love expressing why it's important to me and expressing why it should be important to you as the viewer.
Did you get a lot of hip hop folks that showed up that day?
We got a mix. I think we got a good mix of a handful of people that were there because they were either hip hop fans. We got a mix of people that were part of the hip hop community that were featured in the film.
Yeah.
People like Panic from the Mole Men showed up. DeRoe. Who else?
Howie was there.
Oh, Howie. Yeah, Howie was there. Yeah, we got a grip of people. J-Dot came through. And we got a grip of people that maybe know very little about hip hop but are interested in learning more. We got a lot of people that were interested in the fact that it's a music doc and they just love docs. They wanna find information out about whatever. And then people just love the city and love the culture of the city.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it was a pretty mixed bag of people, which was great. I mean, obviously I want the people who are in the film, and this film is, and maybe not necessarily even in the film, but people that the film is about and is going to tell their story or tell the story from the culture as a whole. I want them to feel very proud and happy about it. But even more so, I want the people that have no clue about anything about Chicago hip hop to get something out of this and understand the rich cultural impact hip hop has had on Chicago itself and the individuals involved and how it's affected. Like, some of the stories from some people that a lot of people don't have, even people within the community don't know how they've impacted not only hip hop locally from a Chicago standpoint locally, but how they've impacted hip hop globally by being involved in the early days of someone like Common or Kanye or whoever. I mean, honestly, whoever. There's so many people that we've talked to that have had that link, that have impacted hip hop globally, that the world will soon, when this comes out, soon understand and know how important Chicago is to the art form they love.
Yeah, and on Friday I spoke to that's really good. On Friday I spoke to a hip hop class at Loyola, Shout out to George Villanueva, who's had me in there for the last couple of years now, speaking to the class. And the class it's a mix of, it's a hip hop class, but I forget the actual title of it, so I'm sorry that I forget what the actual class name is. But it's a mix of students, like broadcasting students and like film students and stuff like that. So it's cool because there's a mixture of hip hop questions versus like some more technical type stuff. But one of the questions that I got this year was on the title, was why we chose Midway, and there's a couple of them that was like, does it have anything to do with the airport? But I explained, and so I explained basically, and kind of with what Risky was saying, but like we want this to be, at the very least, I don't want to turn anybody off from the beginning. I don't want somebody reading the title of it and going, oh, that's the Chicago fly dope hip hop story, because then it's immediately it's going to turn people off. Like it's a documentary, which is already a subgenre of film, and then on top of that, it's a music documentary, and then going even lower, it's a hip hop documentary, and then it's a Chicago hip hop documentary. So it's like it's several layers down on. Mm-hmm. On the specific scale, whatever you want to call that, but
subgenre for sure. And I mean,
yes. So we don't want to exclude anybody from, at the very least, hopefully people will go, oh, that seems interesting, let me check it out, as opposed of, oh, I don't care about hip hop, that's not for me, I don't even want to give it the time of day.
This is for the community, but this is for I really want people outside of the community to. And when I say it's for the community, it's so people outside of the community and outside of Chicago can learn about the people in the community that did so much and built so many, so much of the foundation and the building blocks to the things that we love. As I express to people all the time, I am a DJ for a living. I've been a DJ for a living most of my whole life. I may not play hip hop all the time, and I may not play Chicago hip hop all the time because I might be doing like a wedding or something that very specific. But know this, I'm only doing that because of Chicago hip hop. I became a DJ specifically because of Chicago hip hop. Chicago hip hop is what brought me into my career path. It wasn't Gangstar or Nas or Biggie or any of that. It was All Natural. It was Common. It was Rubber Room. Mm-hmm. These were people that I looked up to. It was people like Jesse De La Pena and Third Rail. And these are people that I looked up to and said, I want to do that. And it's brought me here.
The big thing that I like I think about this. I don't want, God forbid anything happen to one of our great, hip hop artists. But I don't need that or something like that to happen for Chicago to recognize what we have. You know what I mean? Like, as a DJ, you go into other places in the city now, and they're like, hey, play some house music. And you really know that they don't really know what house music really is. But because, certain greats have passed away in house music, now it's acceptable to ask for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we were shorties, like, I'm telling you, like, the first parties I went to was underground disco parties. And that strictly because I'm from Chicago, and that's what we did in the 80s. You know what I mean? That's what we did. That's what we did in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So I just want people to understand how rich our culture is of hip hop and our own hip hop. We did things that no other city did. You know what I mean? So I just think that it's important. And now that we have this, the world's now into documentaries, I think that it's just time for us to show what, to show where we came from. And yeah.
Yeah.
I think going back to one of the things that Ryan was talking about, where you don't want to, what's called bury the lead with the title. Midway, you'd be like, okay, and then you see history of Chicago hip hop, and then when you think hip hop, you think rap. You don't think about the 5 branches of the tree. So I think that's the unique look at the thing that we're doing. We're like encompassing the entire thing, and we're letting everyone talk. Because if you look at it, like rap is the voice, graph is the vision, and then you got your breakdancing and producing and blah blah blah, all that other good stuff. But everyone has the same, they're looking at the same thing from a different angle, so you get a more thorough, more in-depth look at the movement that took over Chicago.
One, obviously, people are doing a lot of hip hop docs now. Netflix has, what's it called? The Evolution of Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Hip Hop Evolution.
Hip Hop Evolution. Here's what's funny about that. We keep stressing the cultural aspect and of Chicago hip hop, and every time we talk, we make sure that we make sure people understand that when we refer to Chicago hip hop, we're not just talking about rap. We are talking about all the different parts and components that make up Chicago hip hop, graffiti, dance, and even add in the fashion culture and everything that makes it up, because there's many components outside of the 4 to 5 elements that people generally speak of. There are many components that make up Chicago hip hop. The Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix, it's funny how loose the word hip hop is used now.
Yeah.
And they talk nothing of any of the other elements, not even mentioning really DJs. It's really so focused on rap. And that's the one thing we're bringing to the table is, like Carlos said, we're letting everybody talk. We are going to have a focus on all the parts of the culture and how the DJs influenced the culture, and how fashion influenced the culture, and how the b-boys influenced the culture, and obviously the graffiti part is so important. So that's one thing that I'm very proud of, is that we're getting everybody involved, because to me, someone like Slang is as important to Chicago hip hop as Common.
Right. Mm-hmm. Who the hell you think was doing out all the design work? Like, someone's got to do the graffiti for the album cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Doug Infinite was the b-boy in Common's video.
Right? Who else? Like, who? There was, I was telling you guys. Oh, AMC. AMC has Songs That Shook America series. And they came out, the very first episode was about Jesus Walks, and it talks about, it doesn't come out and point at how many moving parts go into a song that's about to change the planet. And they go deep. They went and they got Rhymefest, and they were talking about how Rhymefest was at work and he was tired and in a bad relationship, and some dude shared with him a tape with this church choir, and then he took that and showed it to Kanye, and then Kanye and all this other stuff, and they went through that. It's not always, I mean, these days it's a little easier. You could just sit there with your computer and mess around and get things done and sample and do all your things. But like, this is back in the day when we still had, those cassette tapes, and it was a lot of moving parts to make something like Jesus Walk happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen the episode yet, so I don't know how deep they go, but I mean, a lot of
Let me give you an example. They went and found the guy who put that hook together at church, and
Nice.
they interviewed part of the choir.
That's dope.
They went in, yeah. They went in. It's definitely worth watching. They
That's cool.
said
I
they
definitely plan
said
on
to
it.
him, they said to the choir leader, they said, "What was your first thoughts when you first heard that song?" He said, "I need to find my lawyer."
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it was a local Chicago choir that had pressed up a record.
No, they had it on tape. I don't know if it had made it on record yet, but they
Oh,
talked
that's
about
right.
how Rhymefest had a tape.
I just know that it was a Rhymefest song first,
Yeah.
and Rhymefest told us all about it because we interviewed Fest, we interviewed Gree, but obviously that was a while ago. I can't remember the details, and he spoke on it, and obviously we'll put that together, and that'll obviously be something that's featured in our film. But I do remember that it was Fest's song first, and Fest performed it at the Metro. Coney shot the video because the video was up on YouTube for a while.
Yeah. It was probably. I'm assuming it was Coney, but
Yeah, but it was a Rhymefest song first, and then he ended up giving it to Ye.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And at
Ye-
what
Ye-
point do you think to yourself, "Damn it, I should
No,
should have kept that song"?
yeah, I mean, but who can say that song does what it does without it
Ye.
being a Ye
Yeah.
song? Even though Ye hadn't blown up yet, Ye had more resources and a lot more ability to make that song happen and make it what it was. Who knows? I mean, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, I guess, right?
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
it's a-
kind of that it's that bigger situation. So if I make a song that is I make a song and I produce a song and I get somebody to rap on it because God knows I'm not gonna rap on it, and then Kanye's like, "Yo, give me that song." There's no chance I'm not going to do that because even at the early stages of Kanye, because I can put it out and have a reach level on a 0.3, that song's gonna automatically be iconic if Ye's touching it. So it's like it's
But
like,
is
what do you want?
Fess
you
is
want a
Fess a
piece of-
producer?
Fest was a co-producer on that. Yeah, I think he pretty much co-produced because Fest was the one that came with all the samples and the ideas and everything.
Oh, okay.
The name of the choir is called the Art Choir, and
The
the
Art
name
Choir,
of the
yeah.
song, the name of the song that he sampled was called "Walk with Me."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
And,
is what was so cool to
He wrote all the
hear.
lyrics too, Carlos. For the record. Well, he wrote the lyrics. It was literally all
Yeah.
He was
Yeah, that
performing
part
it.
I know. I just didn't know that Rhymefest made beats.
But it's kind of that thing. No, I don't know how much he was involved in the production of it, other than his concept for the sample and everything was there,
Sure.
which is a big chunk of it as well. But it's kind of like that question: do you want 100% of
A little something.
$1,000, or do you want 1% of 10 million? You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But going back to the choir, one of the cool things that I found out was it was a choir associated to folks going through rehab. So all those folks that are on that song, they all belong to the same group. And I want to say all of them, but I could be wrong, but a lot of them are on the comeback from chasing that stuff down. So there's just a lot of really cool things that are connected to that specific song that I learned this weekend. It's not just a hot jam.
I love that record, and I think so many people. I mean, in a city like Chicago, where there's so much, so it's a religious song, right? It's a song that's connected to specifically Christianity. Obviously, Jesus, right? Jesus Christ,
Right.
Jesus walks with me, right? Or Jesus walk with me. Um, but everybody connected to that song. You didn't have to be a Christian to appreciate what the song meant.
Right.
So many people love that song because we live in a city that has, you know, this is the home of the Nation of Islam. This is we have a large Jewish community. I'm sure there's a massive Buddhist community and tons of other religious in a city like Chicago, tons of other religious organizations, and then people who just don't believe in anything at all but they connected to that song. It literally is just positive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dope. I kind of wonder what Kanye's new album is gonna sound like.
Boop, scoop, de boop.
No, I mean the next album is
The
It's-
gospel album, right?
it's a gospel album.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we're
And
still.
when he's
Well, it was supposed to release in September, but it didn't.
Do you think that influence comes from like Chance? Because Chance is, this last album.
No, he had
Chance
to
put
take all
out-
the bad words
Or
out.
not the last one, but the one before it, the what was it, the coloring book
Yeah.
was super gospel. It was mostly gospel inspired.
You know what? I really, I would think so, but I would think that Jesus Walks paved the way for all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's right up Kanye's alley. Remixing stuff like I really want to go to a Sunday service. Just to see
Yeah.
how, it's powerful every time you look at it.
Do they stream those at all?
I
No.
don't. I'm not like, I know that they, you always see the Instagram footage on Sunday.
Yeah.
God bless you. So,
We know Gree, and we're friends with so many people in Kanye's circle. I guess you just go on Instagram and we see it usually because we see those.
yeah,
I don't know
Yeah.
how public they are. I know we see them through Kanye's circle.
Oh, and if you watch that episode of Songs That Shook America, Gree is on there.
Oh
They
yeah,
got him interviewed too.
he could be interviewed on there.
Yeah,
Gree's
he was
with Kanye
very
in the beginning.
Yeah.
we got so like weird.
Yeah, buddy.
This weekend, and his birthday looked amazing.
Yeah, happy birthday, Gree. And for those that don't know, Gree's been working with Kanye since the beginning, but he comes from a legendary Chicago group, Abstract Mind State.
Mm-hmm.
So the other episodes of songs that are hip hop songs that shook America. Jesus Walks is episode 1.
Mhm.
Episode 2 is Kendrick Lamar, All Right.
All right.
Episode 3 is Run DMC, Rock Box.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is Outkast, Elevators. Would that be considered a song that shook America? I love Outkast. I love Elevators, but is that on a Rock Box, Jesus Walks, that kind of level? Did I miss
We'll have to
something?
watch the episode to find out. There might be some.
That might have been Elevators. Might have
It
been
was other like Southern Playalistic would probably be the bigger song by Outkast that made Outkast.
Players Ball is obviously the song.
Yeah,
that
Players
puts
Ball.
it
I'm
on the
sorry.
map.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music is my favorite Outkast record. It came out in '94. That was like the biggest year for hip hop for me. From a nostalgic. I mean, it was like high school, everything. It was super important. It was at that point in time. Now that's my favorite album. I get when people are like, they like Aquemini and this, and I love songs off Aquemini and Stankonia and all the things moving forward. But when we loved Outkast in '94, Sean, it was strictly a hip hop thing. I could see
I
Elevator.
loved Outkast too. Don't just exclude me.
That's white on white crime.
It gets harsh.
So moving forward,
And just to be thorough, I really love Outkast too.
well, fucking great for you, fuckers. So, all this being said, I think Elevators might have been one of those first like crossovers, like when they started crossing over to more of a pop audience.
So we're thinking that Elevators is on this list because it shook America because of bringing more attention to the South.
I don't know what other reason it would be on there other than maybe
Players Ball.
sometimes these things.
This would be
gotta
a
remember,
really nice little. This would be a nice little show topic that we break shit down like this.
Sometimes producers
Because-
are like, "Oh, we got to include Outkast. What song was their song that
Oh,
was
if
most
for-
impactful?"
It will. I mean, I think the fact that Questlove though is like the executive producer and he's one of like the brainchilds behind it, he's pretty honest and authentic when it comes to this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a legit reason for it. I'm just saying, like, Jesus Walks obviously is at the time was that, I mean, to have that big of a like a religious topic type of song and get that big mainstream is big, is huge. Kendrick Lamar, all right, like, you know, in the era, like, it's, you know, the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get why that's, you know, you want to get something modern that's on there. Rockbox was the first rap song played on MTV, and it was had all that impact. The other ones that they had is The Bridge. So Shannon Marley. I can get that. And then the last one is Latifah, Ladies First. I get that.
Yo, yes.
But
Honestly,
she's about to
I'm just-
she's about to accept an award of some sort for being a bad.
honestly, the fact that there's not, I gotta say one thing: the fact that there's not a Public Enemy song on the first season,
right.
period, is a little.
Yeah.
Unless they're
Our
unless
political
they're
reasons as to why.
Well, I mean, they're probably like, oh, save, save stuff for, because I could
Right.
see like songs that shook America. I mean, you could pick 10 fucking things off of Tix and Nation.
right.
Bring the Noise, fucking Don't Believe the Hype.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Fight the Power, right? Fight the Power would have to be their songs that shook America.
Yeah.
Fight the Power. Even though I would
Yeah.
think Bring the Noise, but
Fight the Power.
I'm still
Fight the Power. I
Fight
mean,
the Power
that's
in a big way.
that's the iconic.
That's the iconic one.
Much
when
as we
they,
love
when
Public
they
Enemy.
shit all over everyone's heroes, they don't care. Here's a list.
But
They don't care.
you could put Beastie Boys Fight for Your Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Biggie Juicy. Changed everything.
All right. Are you producing this show?
Man, Biggie's
Obviously.
Biggie Juicy was the record that made hip hop in the clubs, like that
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
hip hop.
Well,
clubs.
that's
Yeah.
I think that's the defining song that changed, that went from golden era to the jiggy shit. Like that
Well,
was
and that's
that
the
was
thing.
the turn.
Here's the thing, because before there were hip hop clubs, and it would be all hip hop records. You hear KRS, and you would hear the what people dub underground in the clubs, right? But Juicy comes out, and Juicy's now played in the clubs, and that's when hip hop started going straight into the clubs. And then, yeah, like you said, it changed.
Which goes to show you the power of disco. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that trying to be funny.
Yeah. No.
Disco was powerful.
Yeah.
And disco gave birth to a lot of music.
Yeah.
And people like to talk shit about disco.
Disco was the basis of the samples for the original hip hop club records. I mean, Sugar
And
Hill Gang,
house music and electronica and
of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, disco was the first dance music, really. I mean, people dance to rock, but like what we know now is
Right.
like,
So we're just gonna move by salsa and samba, and we're just gonna say nobody
right.
dance to that shit.
no, you're absolutely right. Let's say the first American dance music.
Point taken.
Yes, you're right. I was thinking more as like American pop culture, but no,
I'm like, you
absolutely.
did not watch Saturday Night Fever then, because the Puerto Ricans went in there and let this whole place on fire. So
Yeah,
much
no,
so that Tony gave his
You're 1,000,000%
trophy
right.
to them.
I mean, there was dance music, there was swing music, there was all kinds of dance music beforehand, but I'm thinking of what becomes modern era 4 on the floor beat driven dance music.
Right.
Sure.
Not
I get you.
orchestra
I get
driven
you.
dance music or not
I
rock.
just have to stand up for my peoples.
Oh yeah.
You
no.
have to represent.
I just have to stand up for my. I can't just have you blaspheme my people.
But like bass, beat, what I guess what we'd call beat driven 4 on the floor type dance music, that would be disco, and that set the tone for hip hop and
Right.
house and what becomes electronic dance music. I'm not
Right.
saying which is not house music. I know people always come up to me and they're like, can you play this? Can you play house music? And they'll say something. I'm like, that's not house music. But
Yeah, that's the worst. I mean, that's the worst. Like, those are the worst requests that I get. Like,
it's
I got a guy. You probably know exactly who he is, Risky, but he comes to our spot and he's always like, "Hey, and it's normally when the BPM is at like 90 something, so it's harder to get to it like right then. But he's like, "Hey, can you just give me some house music?"
I'm gonna give you a knuckle sandwich.
or Yolanda or something like that.
Huh?
You like, give me some Fast Eddie or Yolanda, like the dance music from the B96 era dance music.
Oh
So-
yeah, the freestyle.
I played was house to me,
Sure.
and then he'll be like, "You didn't play any house," and I'm like, "Yo, I did. Like I played house music." He's like, "Well, I'm
Yeah.
from New York," and it was just a different thing. And I'm like, get out of here.
And I agree with you. I'll tell you from a DJ standpoint, we got to kind of have a tendency to remember that we know all the subgenres and people just kind of lump shit together, because most of the time people don't even know the names of fucking songs. They just
Sure.
know a song they like to dance to.
Sure.
And they're like, I don't know an artist, I don't know the fucking name. So I can't expect them to always, I don't get too mad, I laugh at it, but
It's super funny.
yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, but I know what they want, I know where they're going. But yeah, and the thing is too, is sometimes it's laughable. People subgenre shit so much that's fucking laughable, because I'll say something like, that's kind of like, that's a house record. And they're like, no, that is a fucking, like, and there's like 4 terms before they get to fucking house. It's underground glitch, techno, and I'm like, what? No, fuck. It's fucking music. Leave me alone.
Let me do my job.
TKA. Do you guys think TKA is house music?
No, TKA to me is freestyle.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Like, what's your...
Speaking of TKA, it and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
No, that's
have
good.
to say, it made me think of Nonstop, because TKA becomes the group K7,
Right.
and Nonstop, Chicago legendary Chicago DJ, was the DJ for K7. And I say that because his brother unfortunately passed away, and I want to say rest in peace to Maneuver.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up at some point during the call. Yeah, R.I.P. to Maneuver 13. Good dude. Real good dude.
Oh, he was such a great dude. He was super close with Mike, and he was such a good guy. And I just, and I feel tremendously sad that he passed. And And my condolences to Nonstop and his whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respect. This kind of stresses the point why it's just best for us to keep doing what we're doing right now. As far as documenting the culture and keep moving forward. Like anytime, like we've lost a lot of people in the last 5-6 months.
Right, and we've been doing this project for a while. There's a lot of people we have on film that haven't made it all the way through.
Yeah.
A lot.
So,
Definitely more than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Not that I anticipated any, but I'm just saying, like, there's been a few.
I mean, it's weird because I don't remember us having anybody that's really passed before we started doing this, and now because we're doing this, we see it.
Right.
Like we take the hit from it, and it's just like, fuck. Like, can it just pause? Like, just pause for a second. Let us,
If we could find out that pause button, we would have plenty of funding for this doc.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm with you. Like when you're living life and you're not really documenting anything, like you lose one person, all right, and then a little while later, all right, but then when you're like putting on all this stuff together and you're constantly hearing stories about this dude here and that girl over there and all this other stuff, and then you remember like, oh man, they passed away over there and all this other stuff, and you can't go back to them. That's where it hits heavy.
Yeah, for sure. Faux show. All right.
Yeah, so we wrap this up before we
Right.
talk about anyone else passing away.
Yep.
Get me all sad and shit.
Let's leave it out. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure.
It's always wonderful to see you, Risky.
I know it is.
While we're here, if anyone wants to find you online, where can they find you?
At DJ Risky Biz 1975 on the gram, and yeah, that's where you can find me most of the time.
Sean Doe, hit him with the deets.
You can find me at DJ SEANDOE on Twitter and Instagram, and on Facebook under my name, Rasan Shondo Hawkins. And I cannot stress enough, check on your friends, even the ones who seem like they're quite okay. Just check on them.
Yeah.
Be wellness checks.
I feel a little weird because I don't have a drawing to show this time. However, I will say, Mr. Ryan Brockmeyer, would you like to share your details?
Yeah, check for me on Twitter and Instagram, 278 Media. The numbers, 278 and Media. And, of course, Midway Doc. You can check out, which is what this podcast is for. Check us out at midwaydoc.com and Midway Doc on Facebook and Instagram and Twitters and everything else.
All over the place. And I'm Carlos. You can find me at coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice everywhere else. If you go to youtube.com/coconutjustice, I would highly appreciate that little subscribe thing. We're making pretty neat things over there. Yeah, I think that's it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We out.
Shout out to the St. Louis Cardinals for getting their ass whooped on the NLCS.
Oh, I don't have the womp 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 one on here. I'm gonna have to get that one back.
Oh, geez.
Shout out to the St. Louis Cardinals, the latest to be lost.
Well, they haven't lost today yet, but they're losing 7-0.
Yeah, it's a wrap. All right, see you guys next week.